The imbalance between men and women in the technology sector is unlikely to be remedied unless organizations and universities work together to change entrenched perceptions about the tech industry. This is according to a report issued by PwC's economics team. Now, in South Africa, women currently account of only 23% of the science, technology, engineering and mathematics professionals working in the country, also known as STEM. Now, only 17% of those full leadership positions. To further discuss this, I'm joined by three remarkable women of color making waves in this space. In the studio with us at the moment, we've got Shabana and Shabana Aboo Baker from the Mustek Group, and we will be joined by another guest hopefully shortly. Ladies, thank you so much for your time this morning on Women's Day. A time for everybody just to, in the various sectors that they find themselves in, to sit back and say, these are the wins that we've made, and this is where we still need to grow. There are still more ceilings that we need to break. So we do thank you for your time. Kutlano, I thought we'd start with you. In your position or your space working in human resources, a space that many people hear and they say, oh, they just want to take my leave away and they just want to make sure I turn up on time. But it's far bigger than that, isn't it? Tell us very shortly your journey, the space that you specialize in and how you ended up in this specific specialized sector.
Okay, thanks Marcel, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. So I actually landed in HR by pure accident. That's why I believe that my function is a calling, or my profession is a calling. I was a young girl, grew up in a township, passed my matric with an exemption, the first in my family. So my mom then held me by the hand, put me in a taxi, and off I was to university. When I got there, I didn't know what I wanted to study. All I knew is that I wanted to make a difference. And fast forward, here I am. I just chose HR because I was told that it's a profession that has to do with people. And I think my profession in the HR space, it's a job that I take very seriously. It's a calling, like I said. And I think really as HR professionals, our jobs are for the greater good. We don't do it for a paycheck, and if you do, I think you're in the wrong career in HR. My journey has been nothing but, epic. Yes, dealing with...
That's so great that you can say that. Epic indeed.
It has been quite epic. I think dealing with people, if you think about it, human beings come to the workplace in different forms. Every day they're different, and unfortunately they don't come with a manual. So the HR function is at the heart of the business in ensuring that the business gets value out of its most expensive resources, which is people.
Shabana, you are the Group Financial Director. You look at numbers. Everybody in this building will run in the other direction because we don't use that side of our brain. Financial Director of a huge company like this. Tell us shortly your journey.
Thanks, Marcel, and good morning to you and your viewers. So my journey, I obviously am a chartered accountant and left-brained, as you mentioned. So I studied BCom accounting at the University of Pretoria, and then started off my career at Deloitte doing my articles. Once I was completed with that, they stayed on as an audit manager and had a great career in audit. As part of that journey, it wasn't just audit. I was fortunate enough to be part of a global program at Deloitte, where I developed and strategically influenced, some audit quality initiatives to reinforce Deloitte's reputation in the business as an assurance provider. I was loving the job, and there was lots of benefit and joy in that, but life also got involved,
as it does,
and as it always does. My dream was always to become an audit partner. In 2018, I had my second daughter. She was a winter baby, and as winter babies, they generally are more difficult, I think.
Yeah.
And the first is never, the second is never the same as the first. So she didn't sleep very well, had a bad chest, and I had to make difficult decisions. And I think, you know, your body at some point tells you, starts talking to you, and I had a bit of a health scare, and I had to then have a very long, hard chat with myself in terms of where do I want to go and what do I want to get out of life. And I think my happiness is obviously, you know, men always joke about happy wife, happy life, but in a different context, it's happy wife, happy mother gives happy life to everyone else, and it's important that what we give off shapes everybody else and gives the experiences to everyone else. So I decided to obviously take a break in that space, and I joined my alma mater, University of Pretoria, as a senior accounting lecturer just before COVID started. So I literally gave one lecture face-to-face, and we
then
went
the rest
into
was
hard lockdown.
What a season you found yourself in.
So I literally spoke to my computer for 8 months after that, because we had to do online lectures, and because there was so much of connectivity issues and trying to get to the students, we had to record our lectures. So it was recording, listening to myself, recording, listening to myself. But that's how it went for 8 months. And Mustek was actually my audit client when I was at Deloitte. So I got a call in October 2020 from my predecessor, Niels Coetzee, to say that there's opportunity at Mustek and would I like to join the family. And for me, one of my values is continuous learning and always, you know, challenging myself. And I said, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've always wanted to understand the other side of the table and get involved in operational business. And I took the step, and that was great. And when I went into that, I think when I left Deloitte, I made peace with the fact that there's always power in time and God. And I'm very strong in my faith. God has a plan, and His plan is the best of plans. So I went with it and just did whatever I do it to the best of my ability. Try to change and make things better and make an impact that matters. I think that's for me my purpose, is make an impact that matters in anything that I do. And then unfortunately in May 2022, our founder, David Can, Mustek's founder, David Can, passed, and there was a restructure at the group level. And I was approached to take on the role of Group Financial Director, which I, at that point in time, was happy to do, not knowing what I was getting myself into, but it was a sink or swim.
Yeah,
and,
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it, and here I am. So yeah, very happy to be here. And yes, it's been challenging. It's it hasn't been a linear curve.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of ups and downs. But we carry on.
What is linear these days, and especially if you're a woman, and especially if you're a mum? And our third guest is Zanele Ngema, who joins us virtually this morning, the director at CKR Consulting Engineers. You know, Zanele, we keep hearing about how we really are struggling to get more girls and young women to follow that route and follow mathematics and science, and to become, we need more women engineers. How did you end up bucking that trend?
Good morning, Marcel. Good morning, ladies in the studio and the viewers. So my journey started in Osizweni in Newcastle. I went to school there, went to lower primary school, higher primary school there, and for high school I went in Mataten. I went to a boarding school in Mataten, which is also a township in Newcastle. So when I was in Standard 9, I was doing physics and maths, and my teacher really made me fall in love with physics. She was an incredible teacher. And when I started telling her that I actually am interested in how things work, and she directed me to mechanical engineering. And after high school, I then found I had a bursary with a mining company, and I started university. But then life happened, and I had to go home because I had to take care of my mother. My sister was working then full time. So it was just me and her, and I had to, my dad had actually just passed away, and I had to go back home. And it was an easy decision to go back home because I knew I was looking out for my mother. But it was also a bit hard because I thought, okay, maybe I'm not going to get this dream again. But I understood then that it was just a dream deferred then. And after that, I thought, to me, it felt like time was, you're sitting and you're thinking, okay, I'm not getting any younger, and I should be working by now. And then I started looking for work in consulting environment. And I found, interestingly enough, I was writing letters to say, because I did have courses, I had done up to third year mid-year. So I did have courses that I had passed at university. And I wrote these letters. And the first letter that I wrote, I still remember, the first letter that I wrote was to this company that agreed for me to come and join them. And I wrote probably about 50 or 100 letters. And that was the only company that responded to me.
Sure.
And I started there. It was a small company. They were working in a car garage in Northcliffe, and there was about 2 engineers, the main member and the junior engineer, and supporting staff. So when I started working there, I started falling in love with mechanical engineering in that sector, because mechanical engineering is quite diverse. You can go to many other sectors. So we're basically in the construction industry, which is also quite tough. It was tough then, it's still tough now. And when I started, I was so scared. I can't remember how I even got through my first day. It was scary for me, firstly, because I then got to understood that this field is actually male dominated. I didn't realize that until I was in the working environment. And as the years went by, I had support from my boss, well, then the main member, and actually from the junior engineer. And from that company, we moved on. The junior engineer went on to become a director at CKR, firstly. So when he started at CKR, he then took me from the other company to CKR, and we worked so well together. And as years went on, and I did finally get my degree, I then thought, okay, now I really want to be a leader in this industry. For me, I thought, if with the degree that I have, I couldn't go further. And then I went and I did an MBA. From there, when I was doing it, I wanted to do it full time. And I left CKR and went on to do it. And I then started understanding that, no, really, you can't do it full time and not work. I needed to work because I needed to apply these things that I was learning. So I was lucky enough to get a job in a multinational company, which is has markets all over the world, actually. And from then, when I had completed, because I still had very good relationships with my colleagues at CKR, and the junior, remember the junior that I worked with when I started, he was the director then, and he was leaving for Australia. So he said, okay, so come and join, and you'll be the head of department. I was very excited, but also very nervous, as well, scared as well. And when I got to CKR, it was like I was back home. So I started, and it was incredible how I was supported when I started. Now, remember that the board then is very different from what it is now than when we started, because now I'm in the board. So then but the support that I got from the men in the company, from the women that are in the company as well, from the senior engineers that I work with, to the admin staff that I work with, it's been incredible.
Sanele, if I could just ask you to pause there for a second, because we're going to come to that support and the importance of allies in these industries and in these positions that we find ourselves in. Kutlani, if I can come to you, it's not often here that we get the time to actually hear everybody's stories, because, the news world is so hectic. But I would hope that in your job, and from what you've said about how you approach human resources, trying to know everybody's stories in the organization that you're working in is such a powerful tool to be able to understand what's best for them and how that fits with what's best for the organization.
Yeah. So I think, like I said earlier, you know, your human resources are your most expensive in any business. And in order for businesses to achieve the objectives that they need to do, it's important that we, as in my role, I can speak for my role most especially, we drive conversations around how we effectively utilize and know who our people are. Know where they come from, what their strengths are, what their developmental gaps are, you know, what support they need in order for them to, you know, for us to create the right environment that they can thrive in, achieving then ultimately business results. So I think that in my role as a woman in a leadership role, it has really, you know, I'm privileged to be in a position, I can say I'm privileged in a position where I can influence that, especially for, you know, equity and gender in the businesses that I serve.
And we heard there Shabana explaining about when she had to make some difficult decisions when she gave birth to a second child and what impact that had on her, having to realize she's entering a different season in her life. We heard there from Zanele speaking about how she also needed to pause certain things to go look after her family. I mean, generally we call that the burden of care, but it isn't a burden, especially in our communities. It's what we do with love and commitment and loyalty, but it does have an impact on our careers and our livelihoods, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I think it would be quite ignorant for us not to realize that people that are within any organization are people before they're employees. So it's really imperative as leaders, especially, you know, the roles that Shabana and I serve in the Mustek Group and at Rectron, that we lay the foundation or the platform and create the platform for business to realize that. We are quite, I think, as a team, quite, you know, committed in doing that for our people within organization and women at large.
Shabana, we're having this conversation because we keep hearing about these trends about not enough women. Firstly, not studying in those streams of STEM, and for those who don't know, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but then also not taking that step up. Even out of their own, they're not the first to say, look, we've got this position open, would you like to apply? There are far too many women that still doubt their value, that still doubt their skills level. What would you say to that?
Yeah, Marcel, I think for me, I think when I was pondering on like my journey, the call that I got from Mustek was not by chance. When I left Deloitte, I went to see Niels as one of my main clients to say to him that I'm leaving. And I said to him, if you have ever any opportunity, I don't know where I will be in my life, but please just keep me in mind. And it's about knocking on those doors. I think very often we're too scared and we need to believe in ourselves. And I think what is important is be true to yourself, be close to your values, and show up in what you're doing as not as just as a woman, but who you are as a person. I think that's important. And also remember that a masterpiece is a masterpiece even when the lights are off, the halls are empty and people are not applauding, because that's who we are, and we are there, we can add value in everything that we do. So I think it's just believing in yourself, staying close to yourself, and adapting to change, because change is the new constant, especially in the industry that we are in, the tech industry. It's so exciting at the moment, it's so fast-paced, it's changing so much. But just be step up, be confident. And confidence also is not about knowing everything and getting it always right. It's about not being scared to make a mistake and to be able to bounce back from that. So for me, yeah, that's my advice to anyone trying to get into it.
I think what I just to add to what Shabana has said, I think what I've reflected on, you know, in a personal level, it's okay to say I need help.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know, to say I don't know a certain thing or I need extra support. In one of my personal stories that I always share, I had to experience that when I forgot an award ceremony for my son.
Oh.
And then I realized that, you know, actually in trying to navigate excellence and trying to be excellent at what I do, I actually need help.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think that notion about being a super mom, being a superwoman, being a super, it doesn't exist. We make mistakes, and you accept that, and don't be so hard on yourself. I think we are the hardest. We are our biggest critics, and yeah, just make peace with the fact that you are going to miss the birthday parties,
And,
you are going to miss
and you know what? It prepares the little ones for what they face later on in life. I mean, I work late at night, and then in the morning I have to be up for the school run, and we're always late. So the little one runs to the gate and she says, "Sorry, we're late," because she knows Mom works late, and you know that's the impact of it. Zanele, just very quickly, if I could bring you in here, you spoke about how fortunate you were to have the support that you had as you stepped up into a leadership position. But many women don't have that. Many black women don't have that. There were numbers from the National Department of Trade and Industry in 2020 of the total number of those employed in the South African manufacturing industry. Women made up less than 25% of that. So it does mean that there's not that allyship everywhere. There's not that support everywhere. What do you think needs to change? What have you learned from the places, this space that you're in, that you believe other companies could benefit from if they applied it?
So what I have learned, firstly, on the fear part, it's that what I've noticed from my journey is the fear that I was feeling was actually telling me that what I'm about to do is going to be life-changing. And then you push forward with that in mind, that you need this dream and you're going to get it. So on the support, what I've also noticed is that when I went into the industry, well, the underrepresentation of women is quite evident. And you start looking at mentors, and I couldn't find somebody who was me. Well, who was me in a sense that a woman or a black woman or just a woman. I couldn't find somebody like that could be my mentor. And it's actually, you then get to think of, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do here? Who do I run to? So you do end up going to whoever is around you and who is supporting you. So what we've done at CCAR is that you have a mentorship program where you have senior engineers or senior people that are supporting the juniors that are coming through. So these companies need to find those people. You need all people that are going to step up and say, well, I will be a mentor. It's okay, maybe I'm not a woman, but I understand your career path. I'm going to help you through it. Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We could have gone on for some quite time, and hopefully we've planted a few seeds for those who needed it right this morning. We just don't know where they are in their lives this morning, especially as women in these spaces. So we do thank you, ladies, for your time. Kutlano Rawana and Shabana Aboo Baker from the Mustek Group, and Zanele Ngema, Director at CKR Consulting Engineers. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing your stories with us as we continue to mark Women's Month. We'll have more after this.